The verse again, Adi 9:11, you said?
Yes.
Thank you.
Panchatattva Prabhu, you read our Adi 9:10 at the end of last class. Perhaps you wouldn't mind leading a 1-minute kirtan or a 5-minute kirtan. What's the problem? We're getting a slow start today because of the change in passcode and discussing things. But maybe if you wouldn't mind a short kirtan and start us off our reading with 9:11, would that be all right? I have a crying baby I'm going to run and attend to, but I'm listening.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Gurudasa Jayadvaita Swami Iti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvirsesha Shunyavadi Aschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajacharya Astotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajacharya Astotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Haribol.
Hari Bol. Thank you all so much for making it here. Those of you who got the updated passcode and are with us, welcome to another Caitanya Caritamrta class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj. If he comes today, I'm not sure, but welcome to all of you. We are continuing with Adi, chapter 9, text 11, and today is July 18th, 2024, 1 p.m. in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I hope everyone is blissfully engaged in Krishna service, and I'm so happy to hear more from Caitanya Caritamrta today, beginning with our reader and kirtan leader, Panchatattva Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, Adi-lila, chapter 9, text 11. Sri Ishvara Puri Rupe Ankura Pushta Hoila, Abhane Caitanya Mali Skanda Upajila. Translation: the seed of devotional service next fructified in the form of Sri Ishvara Puri, and then the gardener himself, Caitanya Mahaprabhu, became the main trunk of the tree of devotional service. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, quote, Sri Ishvara Puri was a resident of Kumarahata, where there is now a railroad station known as Kamarhata. Nearby, there is another station named Halisahara, which belongs to the Eastern Railway. This railway runs from the eastern section of Calcutta, end quote. Ishvara Puri appeared in a Brahmana family and was the most beloved disciple of Srila Madhavendra Puri. In the last portion of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, Adi-lila, chapter 8, text 28 through 31, it is stated, Ishvara Puri Goshai Kari Sri Pada Sevan Swahaste Karina Mala Mutradi Marjana Nirantara Krishna Nam Koraya Smaran Krishna Nam Krishna Lila Shunaya Anukshan Tushta Hayapuri Tare Koila Alingan Varadila Krishna Tomar Haukka Premadan Se Hoite Ishvara Puri Primeras Hagara. Quote, at the last stage of his life, Sri Madhavendra Puri became an invalid and was completely unable to move, and Ishvara Puri so completely engaged himself in his service that he personally cleaned up his stool and urine. Always chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and reminding Sri Madhavendra Puri about the pastimes of Lord Krishna in the last stage of his life, Ishvara Puri gave the best service among his disciples. Thus Madhavendra Puri, being very pleased with him, blessed him, saying, my dear boy, I can only pray to Krishna that he will be pleased with you. Thus Ishvara Puri, by the grace of his spiritual master, Sri Madhavendra Puri, became a great devotee in the ocean of love of Godhead. Unquote. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti states in his Gurvastika prayer, Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado, Yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Quote, by the mercy of the spiritual master, one is blessed by the mercy of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Unquote. It is by the mercy of the spiritual master that one becomes perfect, as vividly exemplified here. A Vaishnava is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if he appears to be an invalid, this gives a chance to his disciples to serve him. Ishvara Puri pleased his spiritual master by service, and by the blessings of his spiritual master, he became such a great personality that Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu accepted him as his spiritual master. Srila Ishvara Puri was the spiritual master of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. But before initiating Lord Caitanya, he went to Navadvip and lived for a few months in the house of Gopinathacharya. At that time, Lord Chaitanya became acquainted with him, and it is understood that he served Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by reciting his book, Krishna Lilamrita. This is explained in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi-kanda, chapter 11. To teach others by example how to be a faithful disciple of one's spiritual master, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, visited the birthplace of Ishwarapuri at Kumarahata and collected some earth from his birth site. This he kept very carefully, and he used to eat a small portion of it daily. This is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi-kanda, chapter 17. It has now become customary for devotees, following the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to go there and collect some earth from that place. Om Jnana Timarandasya Garanjana Salakaya Chakshu Manitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we're being given some intimate glimpses into the spiritual lineage of our Brahma-Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Here we're being introduced to Sri Ishwarapuri, who had the part of Lord Chaitanya's spiritual master and who himself was a disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri, and who served Madhavendra Puri at a particularly intimate and careful and loving way at the time of Sri Madhavendra Puri's disappearance from this world. Srila Prabhupada points out that we have to understand the activities of the spiritual master as being transcendental. We make a grave mistake if we see the spiritual master as an ordinary personality. If we do so, then we miss the opportunity of service, because service to one's spiritual master it's required by Shastra. It's required by the examples we read in Sri Caitanya Caritamrta and other places, Bhagavatam. It's required that we see the spiritual master as the transcendental via medium of his spiritual master, going all the way back to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That then, if one has the proper mentality, the proper service mood, which is required for the practitioner of bhakti yoga, then in spite of his or her other limitations or even disqualifications, they can actually make progress in Krishna consciousness. Just like hearing, so much of our movement, so much of our spiritual progress revolves around hearing very faithfully from advanced devotees, from our spiritual master, and that process of hearing becomes effective when it is melded with devotional service, with the practical application of those instructions. And here, Ishwarapuri demonstrated the most extraordinary manifestation of that service. He was ready to do anything and everything to supply care and indeed love and affection to his spiritual master at the end of his manifest pastimes. It says here, He so completely engaged himself in his service that he personally cleaned up his stool and urine, always chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and reminding Sri Madhavendra Puri about the pastimes of Lord Krishna in the last stage of his life. Ishwar Puri gave the best service among his disciples. Thus Madhavendra Puri, being very pleased with him, blessed him, saying, "My dear boy, I can only pray to Krishna, and he will be pleased with you." And conversely, we also have the example of Ramachandra Puri, who was also a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, but who completely misunderstood Madhavendra Puri's, Sri Madhavendra Puri's exalted position, and unfortunately made the offense of minimizing his position, and in his ignorance, trying to preach to him about being situated in Brahman. So we have both examples, one as a warning and one as a very instructive guidance. So at every stage of one's relationship with the spiritual master and the spiritual master's god brothers and so forth, one has to cultivate this mood of service and endeavor to please the spiritual master, who's the representative of Krishna. It's such a strong example in our line, and it's meant to be followed. Hare Krishna.
Anything more on this topic, Guru Maharaj? If you're available to comment.
Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtati Deshataya. Not much to add, very nicely explained. Just from our personal experience, we used to think, the editors at BBT, that Prabhupada's writing was perfect, but that it was grammatically imperfect, so that the editors would get a chance to do some service. Hare Krishna.
I'll read the next couple of verses. This is section 12. Oh, we have something in the comments. Let me read that first. Praveen Krishna Prabhu states, the birth site at Kumarhata is still present, and there's a great pond there created by the collection of earth by the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
It's a little hard to hear you, Prabhu.
Oh, is it? All right.
Yeah,
Well, let me
could...
pass the reading off to somebody else.
No. If you can,
are you
maybe if you can just hold your phone or whatever you're using a little closer, we can hear you. But it was just a little low.
All right. We'll give it one more try. If there's any difficulty hearing me, I'll pass it off.
Much better. Much better.
What was that, Panchadatta Prabhu?
Much better.
Okay.
Sound good.
All right. Text 12. Nija chintya shakti mali anya skandahaya sakala sakara se skandamula shaya. By his inconceivable powers, the Lord became the gardener, the trunk, and the branches simultaneously. Paramananda Puri Ara Keshava Bharati, Brahmananda Puri Ara Brahmananda Bharati, Vishnu Puri, Keshava Puri, Puri Krishnananda, Sri Narsingha Tirtha Ara Puri Sukhananda, E Navamula Nikashila, Vriksha Mule, E Navamule Vriksha, Korila Nishchale, Paramananda Puri, Keshava Bharati, Brahmananda Puri, and Brahmananda Bharati, Sri Vishnu Puri, Keshava Puri, Krishnananda Puri, Sri Narsingha Tirtha, and Sukhananda Puri. These 9 sannyasi roots all sprouted from the trunk of the tree. Thus, the tree stood steadfastly on the strength of these 9 roots. Purport. Paramananda Puri, describing Paramananda Puri. Paramananda Puri belonged to a Brahmana family of the Trihut district in Uttara Pradesh. Madhavendra Puri was his spiritual master. In relationship with Madhavendra Puri, Paramananda Puri was very dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the Caitanya Bhagavat, Antya Kanda, there is the following statement. Sanyasira madhye ishvarera priya patra, arna hi kapuri gosai se matra, damodara swarupa Paramananda Puri, sanyasi parshade e dui adhikari, niravadhi nikate thakena dui jana, prabhura sanyase kare, dandera grahana, puri dhyana, paradamodera kirtana, damodarera kirtana, yata priti ishvarera puri gosaira, gosaire, damodara svarupereo, tata priti kara, kare. I'm gonna have to work on my Bengali. Among his sannyasi disciples, Ishvara Puri and Paramananda Puri were very dear to Madhavendra Puri. Thus, Paramananda Puri, like Svarup Damodar, who was also a sannyasi, was very dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and was his constant associate. When Lord Chaitanya accepted the renounced order, Paramananda Puri offered him the danda. Paramananda Puri was always engaged in meditation, and Sri Svarupa was always engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered full respect to his spiritual master Ishvara Puri, he similarly respected Paramananda Puri and Svarup Damodar. It is described in the Caitanya Bhagavat, Antya Kanda, chapter 3, that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first saw Paramananda Puri, he made the following statement. Aji dhanya lochana sapala aji janma, sapala amara aji haila sarva dharma, prabhu bole aji mora sapala sannyasa, aji madhavendra more haila prakasha. My eyes, my mind, my religious activities, and my acceptance of the sannyas order have now all become perfect, because today Madhavendra Puri is manifest before me in the form of Paramananda Puri. Maybe that's a good amount there. Do you have anything so far, Guru Maharaj? No? All right, we'll keep going. The Caitanya Bhagavat further states, Katokshane anyonye korena pranam Paramananda Puri Chaitanyera Priyadham. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exchanged respectful obeisances with Paramananda Puri, who was very dear to him. Paramananda Puri established a small monastery behind the western side of the Jagannath temple, where he had a well dug to supply water. The water, however, was bitter, and therefore Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayed to Lord Jagannath to allow Ganges water to come into the well to make it sweet. When Lord Jagannath granted the request, Lord Chaitanya told all the devotees that from that day hence the water of Paramananda Puri's well should be celebrated as Ganges water. For any devotee who would drink it or bathe in it would certainly get the same benefit as that derived from drinking or bathing in the waters of the Ganges. Such a person would certainly develop pure love of God. It is stated in the Caitanya Bhagavat. I'm sorry, I'm getting a I have something happening. Forgive me for cutting the class like this. Somebody is trying to speak with me. Is anybody at the same spot in the purport reading along that could continue from where I am here? Guru Das Prabhu, are you reading along?
I can do it.
Yes, I'm reading.
Okay.
Oh,
Guru Das,
you want
please
to do
continue.
Panchatattva Prabhu?
His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami said he could read.
Oh, well,
You can go
Maharaj,
ahead, Guru Das. Okay. Prabhu Bole Ami Ye Achiye Pritivite Nishchaya Nishchoy E Janiha Puri Gosair Prite. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to say, I am living in this world only on account of the excellent behavior of Sri Paramananda Puri. The Gaur Ganodesh Deepika states, Puri Shri Paramanando Ya Asib Uddhava Pura. Paramananda Puri is none other than Uddhava. Uddhava was Lord Krishna's friend and cousin, and in Chaitanya Lila, the same Uddhava became the friend of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his uncle in terms of their relationship in the disciplic succession. Keshav Bharati. The Saraswati, Bharati, and Puri Sampradayas belong to the Sringeri Mutt in South India, and Sri Keshav Bharati, who at that time was situated in a monastery in Katwa, belonged to the Bharati Sampradaya. According to some authoritative opinions, although Keshav Bharati belonged to the Shankara Sampradaya, he had formerly been initiated by a Vaishnav. He is said to have been a Vaishnav on account of having been initiated by Madhavendra Puri, or some say that he took sannyas from Madhavendra Puri. Temple and deity worship started by Keshav Bharati are still existing in the village known as Katundi, which is under the postal jurisdiction of Kandara in the district of Bardhaman. According to the managers of that mutt, priests are descendants of Keshav Bharati, and some say that the worshippers of the deity are descendants of the sons of Keshav Bharati. In his householder life, he had two sons, Nishapati and Ushapati, and a Brahmin of the name Sri Nadakirchandra Vidyaratna, who was a member of the family of Nishapati, was the priest in charge at the time that Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati visited this temple. According to some, the priests of the temple belong to the family of Keshav Bharati's brother. Still another opinion is that they descend from Madhava Bharati, who was another disciple of Keshav Bharati's. Madhava Bharati's disciple, Balabhadra, who also later became a sannyasi of the Bharati Sampradaya, had two sons in his family life, named Madan and Gopal. Madan, whose family's surname was Bharati, lived in the village of Auriya, and Gopal, whose family's surname was Brahmachari, lived in the village of Dendura. There are still many living descendants of both families. In the Gaur Ganodesh Deepika it is said, Maturayam Yagya Sutram Pura Krishnaya Yo Munihi Tado Sandipani Sobhud Adya Keshava Bharati. Shandipani Muni, who formerly offered the sacred thread to Krishna and Balaram, later became Keshav Bharati. It is he who offered sannyas to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's another statement about Keshav Bharati from the Gaur Ganodesh Deepika. Iti kechit prapashante kruda Keshava Bharati. According to some authoritative opinions, Keshav Bharati is an incarnation of Akrura. Keshav Bharati offered the sannyas order to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the year 1432 Shakabda, AD 1510 in Makkat. This is stated in the Vaishnav Manjusha, Part 2. So we find lots of different opinions here. Some say that Keshav Bharati descends this way, another that way. Some different lines of biological genealogy are proposed, some different opinions about his spiritual identity. So, but we know that he was, at least we know for certain, that he was the intimate associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas from Keshav-Bharati. Brahmananda Bharati. Brahmananda Bharati went to see Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Dham. At that time, he used to wear only a deerskin to cover himself, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu indirectly indicated that he did not like this deerskin covering. Brahmananda Bharati therefore gave it up and accepted a loincloth of saffron color as used by Vaishnava sannyasis. That incident will be told later in Caitanya Caritamrta. For some time, he lived with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri.
Well, Maharaj,
We-
did
Yes.
we skip a paragraph, or am I mistaken?
Well, it's always possible. Oh, yes, we certainly did. Thank you, Mr. Kindle. Brahmananda Bharati. Sri Brahmananda Bharati was one of the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu while he was performing kirtan in Navadvip, and he also joined Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. We may note in this connection that the name Brahmananda is accepted not only by Mayavadi sannyasis, but by Vaishnava sannyasis also. One of our foolish godbrothers criticized our sannyasi, Brahmananda Swami, saying that this was a Mayavadi name. The foolish man did not know that Brahmananda does not always refer to the impersonal Brahma. Param Brahma, the supreme Brahma, is Krishna. A devotee of Krishna can therefore also be called Brahmananda. This is evident from the fact that Brahmananda Puri was one of the chief sannyasi associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes. So this is history that Srila Prabhupada, unfortunately, was sometimes criticized by his godbrothers, or they found fault with his disciples. And Srila Prabhupada was sorry about that. Here he indicates a criticism which was groundless. In Caitanya Caritamrta, either obliquely, most often, yes, always obliquely, Srila Prabhupada, obliquely and directly responds to various criticisms made at the time by his godbrothers. Now, it seems, these criticisms have all but entirely disappeared. The Prabhupada's success in spreading the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been so overwhelming that it's pointless now to be to criticize. There's some part in some place in Srimad-Bhagavatam where Sanatana Goswami mentions a comparison, and I'm trying to remember how it goes, that the comparison was given to something that wasn't so different, because if something's like so different, you can't compare it. That was how I remember vaguely what was said. But my point is that when Prabhupada seems to be maybe a little better than his godbrothers, they could criticize. But Prabhupada has been so overwhelmingly successful that there's no scope for comparison anymore. If you have a little hill in your backyard, you can say, well, it's not much of a hill anyway. It's, it's hardly even a hill. It's, whatever. But if you have, the Sierra Nevadas or something in your backyard, you can't say, well, my backyard it's these aren't such big mountains. It's just pointless. So Prabhupada may have seemed to some of his godbrothers to be, not much different from them. And even that was sort of the theme, that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was the real powerhouse for spreading Krishna consciousness. And all of his godbrother, all of his disciples did something. And, Swami Maharaj, he's also done something. We've all done something. And sometimes they made it that we could have also done what he did if we'd been willing to do this or that. They more or less wanted to see, some of them, see Srila Prabhupada as being on their level. But now there's no scope for that. And his accomplishments have won the genuine appreciation of practically all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Everyone is yes, everyone is appreciative.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Just one more thought is, I remember Srila Sridhar Maharaj one time said that when I think of what Swami Maharaj has accomplished, he said, my chest swells with pride.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Would you like to continue reading?
I think better if someone
Okay.
keep rotating.
Gurudas Prabhu, there are a series of verses without purport. Would you like to read those all the way up to and including the next purport?
Uh-oh, not a series.
I'm sure you can do it.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Namo Vishnudaya Krishna Vistamale Simite Satardas Goswami Niti Namani Satarupa Vidam Bande Vinitam Sarabhushanam Bhakti Gandhananai Bhakti Vedanta. Text 16. Madhyamula Paramananda Purima Hadira Astadike Astamula Vrikshakai Lastira. Translation. With the sober and grave Paramananda Puri as the central root, and the other 8 roots in the 8 directions, the tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood firmly. 17. Skandira uparibahu saka upajila upari saka ashanka haila sankhya haila. Translation. From the trunk grew many branches, and above them innumerable others. Text 18. Visha Saki Kari Eka Mandala Maha Saka Chaila Brahmanda Sakala. Translation. Thus the branches of the Chaitanya tree formed a cluster or society with great branches covering all the universe. Purport. Our International Society for Krishna Consciousness is one of the branches of the Chaitanya tree. Is this the purport you meant for me to stop at, Prabhu?
I was thinking you could continue, but we could stop for your comment and Maharaj's comment here, because it is certainly interesting and topical if someone wants to make some comment. Did you want to say something, Gurudas Prabhu, on this short but significant purport?
Only that in the case of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Prabhupada played the role of the gardener and the distributor of the fruit and the And what can be said? As you say, very, very significant. But I don't have any especially profound things to add.
Thank you. That was nice. Guru Maharaj, did you want to say something, or should we continue on? I think you're muted.
I'll say a couple of comments, a couple of words. Nice comment from Gurudas. We hear in this description of Caitanya Caritamrta, we'll hear about very substantial branches of the Chaitanya tree. And here, in an unpretentious way, Prabhupada presents ISKCON as one of the branches of the tree. He doesn't claim that it's the only branch or the only present branch. He just claims that it's a branch. So there's room for other branches of the tree, not that he claims that this is the exclusive modern branch of Lord Chaitanya's tree. There are others, but certainly the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has proved itself to be an extraordinarily important branch of this tree of Krishna consciousness, Lord Chaitanya's movement.
Maharaj, I have a question. How are we doing as a society about keeping ISKCON from becoming many-branched and scattered that way?
Well, that's like an essay question, and it calls for a lot of subjective
I
comment.
apologize. I was not thinking properly, but
one thing is prevented from becoming many-branched. I don't know why we would want to prevent it from becoming many-branched. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his tree has many branches, and the ISKCON is also entitled to have many different branches, many disciples, many devotees spreading Krishna consciousness in different ways. So it's not that everything, we just have one indistinguishable branch with nothing, no variety, nothing sprouting from the branch, but it's just, sort of, what would you say? Just a closed unit. It can have lots of branches. On an institutional level, I suppose the question is how to prevent schismatic branches.
That was the essence of my question. I apologize for not being.
Speaking from a sociology of religion point of view, you can't prevent it. Any spiritual movement or even political movement, social movement will inevitably develop heterodox forms, and some of them will be so, some of them will take a schismatic approach. When a group splits off, because there can be a lot of variety within a group, but when some branch or group splits off, then it's called schismatic. At that point, the members of the schismatic group think, no, the group that we're splitting from doesn't authentically represent what we think or what we've understood of the founders' intentions, and so they split off. And then sociologists of religion further say that the schisms develop further schisms. a group splits off, we can't accept anymore this group that we're splitting from. And then other groups will come and say, we can't accept this schismatic group anymore. So they further split. That's just, what would you say, the standard understanding in academia of what goes on. So it can't be prevented. It can't be prevented. But the International Society for Krishna Consciousness should strenuously endeavor to authentically represent what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was given, what Srila Prabhupada is given. And then let history go its own way.
Thank you, Maharaj. We have some comments in the chat, which I'll cover, and then I'll turn to Tulsi Priya's question. Praveen, harking back to a previous verse, Praveen Krishna Prabhu writes, the well of Sri Paramananda Puri is present in Puri, and the water from the well is still sweet. Not the sugar sweet, but sweet. Mother Saraswati Devi writes to everyone, Pranams Param Pujya Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. The different sampradayas mentioned like Bharati, Saraswati, and Puri, are these associated with a Mayavadi sampradaya?
Yes, as far as I understand, that's the point. There are 10 names associated with the Shankar Sampradaya. They're called Dashnami sannyasis. They have 10 different names. And the Vaishnavas have 108 names, including the 10. But generally, it's understood that these, therefore, when Prakashananda Saraswati met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, you belong to our group, so what's going on? Why are you dancing and chanting with sentimental people when you've taken, you've been initiated into our group, not specifically because he was Saraswati. Generally, the Saraswati Sampradaya considers the Bharati Sampradaya less prestigious. But still, you're in our group, so why are you doing this? So the Bharati Sampradaya, Saraswati Sampradaya, Puri Sampradaya, as mentioned here, generally associated with the Mayavadi school.
And Saraswati continues, if it's not an impertinent question, is there an unnecessary and unpleasant competition between the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj and the disciples of Srila Prabhupada?
Well, is there an unnecessary and unpleasant competition between the disciples? There may sometimes be. We want spiritual competition in which there's mutual appreciation, but sometimes there's some other kind of competition which may not be so much appreciated. This will be, of course, a field for development and refinement over, as time passes by, how the relationship between followers of different lines in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement can work together to spread Krishna consciousness or work separately to spread Krishna consciousness.
Mother Tulsi Priya, would you like to make your comment or question?
Hi, Krishna. It's both comment and question.
Okay.
Please accept my obeisances, Maharaj. When I think about what Prabhupada did and the relationship between ISKCON and the Gaudiya Math, I'm reminded of something that I used to see as a child. I grew up in an urban area, and my house was mainly surrounded by concrete, but there were little patches of grass and bushes, decorative bushes and stuff. And my father was a country boy, and he would take a branch off a bush, pare away the dead, the outer bark, and basically just stick it in a hole in the ground. And within a few weeks or months, the thing would be a flourishing bush. And I think of that sometimes when I think about Prabhupada, because I remember in the purport of Adi-lila, chapter 12, text 8, Prabhupada talks about the factions of the Gaudiya Math, and he says they became asara, useless, because the preaching had been dropped because of the internecine fighting. And I think to myself that Prabhupada did the equivalent of what I saw my father do, that he took a branch and planted it in an inhospitable location, and it flourished. And I was just wondering, I've asked a couple of senior devotees if they agree with that, and they're inclined to agree, but I was wondering if you think that ISKCON is more of a transplant than merely a branch.
Well, it's, we start getting into the intricacies of analogy here.
Mm-hmm. It's my weakness.
No, well, anyways, but it's certainly a branch. Prabhupada declares it to be a branch of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tree. At the same time, it's a transplant. It's been recognized as a transplant by scholars like
Harvey Cox, Rochford?
No, closer to us. Recently, from Franklin and Marshall.
Mm.
Oh, gosh.
Hopkins?
Thomas Hopkins.
My husband contributed that.
Thank you. Tom Hopkins recognized and appreciated that Prabhupada is essentially not only translated books from Sanskrit to English, but and not only brought Gaudiya Vaishnavism from India, from Bengal to New York, but had transplanted the movement. It's not so easy to transplant. You transplant a tree and it may take or not take. Sometimes the tree dies and so on. But Prabhupada had very carefully transplanted the Krishna consciousness movement. And there were so many, he didn't, he kept so much of the substance of the movement and even the outer features of the movement, and still made it relevant and practical for people outside of India. So it can be seen as a transplant, but it's not a transplant in the sense of we tore off a branch or a branch dropped and then we put it in the ground. Maybe more like those banyan trees where a root goes up or down and down, sideways, this way, that way, and it becomes a whole new production full of a new trunk, and new leaves, new branches, new fruits, new everything, and still it's part of the same tree. So, in some place, I think later in the analogy, the Kaviraj Goswami says that the tree spreads all over the world, the Chaitanya tree. An ordinary maple tree or something just basically goes straight up and a little bit to the sides. But Mahaprabhu's tree spreads all over the world. And Srila Prabhupada is responsible for that, really. He spread Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement all over the world. So that's extraordinary. And that's another foretelling. We know Prativiti Atache, Nagaradigram, Sarvatra Prachar, Vaibhe Morna. So that's a foretelling. But this was another foretelling in Caitanya Caritamrta that this tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will spread all over the world. And it has. Srila Prabhupada made that happen.
Thank you, Maharaj. I appreciate the new analogy.
Thank you. I think we've reached the end of our time for this installment.
But we started late.
In classes, we did start late. We have two brief comments. Actually, now three. Mother Tulsi Priya writes, materially speaking, competition is always unpleasant when you're on the losing side. Pratipurna Madhavi Devi Das, writes, so many pure devotees appearing in Mayavadi Sampradaya. Is it to show and exemplify their transformation to Vaishnavism?
Well, it's either to show it or that's what happens. You know, if you catch diphtheria and you're cured, is it to show that there's a cure for diphtheria? No, you had it and you were cured of it. So in some instances, it may be, you know, Krishna's arrangement to provide an example can be seen that way, or in other cases, it may just be seen that they were really diseased, but they were cured by the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers.
Praveen Krishna writes, last time I heard Gaudiya Math Kirtan, it sounded like ISKCON. That seems like appreciation.
Yeah, I give that mixed reviews. Sometimes I wish that ISKCON Kirtan would sound more like Gaudiya Math.
Indeed, we can understand that, especially from the Kirtan Standards Handbook. We need someone to lead the closing kirtan. Mother Tulsi Priya, would you like to lead the closing kirtan?
Okay, sure. I don't have any instruments with me, but I'll give it a shot. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paripurajaka Stotra Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kunikidi Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Sri Caitanya Caritamrta Ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.
Haribol.
You.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you, thank you.
And
Thank you,
please, a reminder,
Panchatattva.
if you're in contact with other devotees who don't yet have the password, you can give them the password, or you can send an email to J, just the letter J, Swami Video, all one word, @gmail.com, and we'll get the password out to them. I mean, obviously everybody here has it, but if you know somebody that doesn't, give it to them.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Maharaj.
Thank you to the organizers.
Yeah, thank you all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hi Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Jaya.